She trained for years under the Black label, and many were certain she'd debut with the agency's much-hyped girl group, Meow. Forums lit up with blurry trainee photos, speculated lineups, and countdowns to what fans believed was her inevitable debut. But on May 11, 2024, that dream seemed to evaporate. Just one day after reports surfaced claiming she had been dropped for personal reasons, the Black label made it official: Annie Moon was not part of Meow. The silence that followed spoke volumes. People assumed she had backed away, retreating into the life of privilege she was born into. After all, who would willingly trade luxury boardrooms for sleepless nights in sweaty practice rooms? Fans joked, half seriously, that she must have realized she was already wealthier than any idol could ever hope to become. But Annie shocked them all. Instead of walking away, she walked into a brand new spotlight. She re-emerged not in Meow, but in the most unexpected of formats: a 5-member co-ed group called All Day Project, a bold first in K-pop's tightly defined idol system. Her debut sent shockwaves through the industry. This wasn't just another idol, it was a member of South Korea's most famous business dynasty choosing the stage over the boardroom. Add to that her Ivy League credentials. Yes, she earned her place at Columbia University in New York City, and her image shifted again. She wasn't just privileged, she was brilliant, determined, and ready to prove herself on her own terms. So when netizens began digging deeper into her family's background, they didn't just find golden spoons, they found skeletons. To Annie's credit, she hasn't tried to hide any of it. In fact, she's been shockingly open about the immense pressure that came with her name. During a heartfelt interview with All Day Project on Big Bang Des, Annie shared that it took her a full decade to win her family's approval. 10 years of pushing back against expectations, of convincing them that her passion for music wasn't just a teenage fantasy. Their response? They made her a deal: get into an Ivy League school and we'll talk. So she did exactly that. Her Columbia admission wasn't just academic achievement, it was the key to her freedom. When asked if her family truly backed off once she made it, Annie laughed and said bluntly, "They didn't have a choice. A deal's a deal." And just like that, the path that once seemed impossible cracked open. One of the most eyebrow-raising scandals involves Annie's own extended family, specifically Lee Boo-jin. Known as Little Lee Kun-hee due to her razor-sharp business instincts and uncanny resemblance to her late father, the former Samsung chairman, Boo-jin forged a reputation as one of South Korea's most formidable executives. But in 1999, she shocked the nation, not with a business move, but with a romance. Her marriage to Im Woo-jae, a man widely rumored to be either a low-level technician or her former bodyguard, rocked the social elite. Suddenly, a chaebol heiress was marrying far below her station, igniting a media frenzy. It was hailed as a real-life Cinderella story, the kind that K-dramas are made of, so much so that it inspired elements of the hit series Queen of Tears. But like most fairy tales with too much press attention, this one crumbled behind closed doors. What do you think about Annie Moon's decision to defy her family legacy? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. The fairy tale quickly unraveled into something far darker than anyone could have imagined. According to Im Woo-jae, the man once hailed as Samsung's very own Cinderella prince, the relationship was never meant to culminate in marriage. When Boo-jin first raised the idea, he reportedly tried to decline, saying the chasm between their social worlds was simply too wide. But everything changed when her father, Samsung's formidable chairman, personally encouraged the union. In the realm of chaebol dynasties, a word from the patriarch isn't a suggestion, it's a decree, and so, Im complied. After their grand wedding, he was swiftly sent to the United States, allegedly to gain the kind of prestigious academic credentials that could help him earn his place beside her. But instead of empowerment, it was exile. Thrown into an elite academic environment with no English skills, and zero international experience, Im was forced to sink or swim. What followed wasn't just culture shock, it was a breakdown. He later described this period as the darkest chapter of his life. At one point, the pressure became so unbearable that he collapsed into tears before Bu Jin, confessing he could no longer carry the weight of the expectations placed on him. Although he ultimately completed a degree at MIT, the psychological scars from years of striving to become good enough for the Samsung name never fully faded. In 2014, their marriage disintegrated completely when Bu Jin officially filed for divorce. But the end of the marriage was only the beginning of a courtroom war that left reputations shattered and a child caught in the crossfire. What made the divorce even more brutal was how Bu Jin's legal team portrayed Im in court as a failed academic, a heavy drinker, and an emotionally unstable man unfit to be a husband or father. Im insisted these allegations were a smear campaign, deliberate character assassination meant to sever him from both the marriage and his child. And the custody battle that followed? It was nothing short of heartbreaking. Though headlines focused on the couple's split, it was the aftermath that left a deeper wound. Instead of walking away, she walked into a brand new spotlight. She re-emerged not in Meow, but in the most unexpected of formats, a 5-member co-ed group called All Day Project, a bold first in K-pop's tightly defined idol system. Her debut sent shockwaves through the industry. This wasn't just another idol, it was a member of South Korea's most famous business dynasty choosing the stage over the boardroom. Add to that her Ivy League credentials. Yes, she earned her place at Columbia University in New York City, and her image shifted again. She wasn't just privileged, she was brilliant, determined, and ready to prove herself on her own terms. So when netizens began digging deeper into her family's background, they didn't just find golden spoons, they found skeletons. He pointed out that if he had ever been the man they claimed, surely the rotating cast of domestic staff in their small apartment would have witnessed it. But not a single testimony or piece of evidence ever surfaced to support those claims. In the end, he was granted a small but meaningful breakthrough, a short camping trip to Cheongcheon with his son. There, far from the boardrooms and legal battles, he said something shifted. The bond between them began to feel real again. It was the first step, he hoped, toward mending a relationship torn apart by forces far greater than either of them. But this wasn't the only romance to unravel within the halls of the Samsung dynasty. Another scandalous union that captivated the nation involved beloved actress Ko Hyun-jung and Samsung heir Chung Yong-jin. On paper, it looked like a perfect match. She was a dazzling star on the rise, a national sweetheart fresh off a breakout role. He was the ultra-wealthy grandson of the Samsung empire and vice chairman of the Shinsegae Group. When the two married in 1995, it looked like a K-drama come to life. The public believed Hyun-jung had won the jackpot, fame, beauty, and now a golden ticket into Korea's most powerful family. But behind the billion-won wedding and glossy tabloid spreads lay a reality far bleaker than anyone expected. At just 22, Hyun-jung walked away from her skyrocketing career to take on her new identity as a chaebol wife. She announced her retirement at the peak of her fame, disappearing from screens just as the country was falling in love with her. What was supposed to be a fairy tale quickly revealed itself as something more suffocating. She hadn't just married into money, she had married into a legacy of power, tradition, and unforgiving expectations. The love story that began with a romantic encounter in New York, when Yong-jin helped her find her seat at the Winter Garden Theater, soon became a tale of emotional isolation and public heartbreak. And this is just scratching the surface. The breakdown of Hyun-jung's marriage wasn't just about the private dynamic between husband and wife, it was about her silent war with the in-laws. While many assumed love had faded, reports from the time painted a much more complicated portrait. The real friction, it seemed, stemmed from a cultural divide that ran deeper than anyone expected. One persistent rumor claimed her in-laws would purposely exclude her from conversations by speaking in English, a language she wasn't fluent in. And when she started picking it up, they allegedly switched to French. The story caught fire online, creating the image of a household less interested in welcoming a new member and more focused on asserting their dominance in quiet, cutting ways. Years later, in 2009, Hyun-jung addressed the rumors herself. She clarified that while the language barrier was real, especially in the early days, the idea that she was purposely ostracized was overblown. She defended her in-laws as educated and respectable people, not the scheming aristocrats the media had made them out to be. But by then, it was too late. Public imagination had already filled in the blanks, and even if that particular story wasn't entirely true, it didn't change the larger perception. Hyun-jung was never fully accepted into the elite chaebol world. To the public, and especially to netizens, she was always the outsider, the actress who didn't quite fit the mold. Whispers about her being judged, excluded, and subtly shunned became louder. And after 8 years of trying to mold herself into a chaebol daughter-in-law, her marriage officially ended in 2003. But the loss was far greater than a signature on divorce papers. Hyun-jung not only walked away from her husband, but also from her children. She lost custody of both her son and daughter and was allegedly barred from even seeing them. Public reaction was divided. Some sympathized with her fall from grace, while others questioned what had really gone wrong. And let's just say, the rumors didn't favor her. Reports circulated that Hyun-jung's late-night habits and independent streak clashed with the tightly controlled image the Samsung family worked so hard to maintain. The final straw? A stolen Porsche, registered to the Shinsegae Group, was allegedly taken from Han River Park in the dead of night. Hyun-jung claimed she had briefly stepped away and left the keys inside, but her story shifted in later interviews. The media pounced. Why was she out alone at 3 a.m.? Who was with her? Why was she even driving a company car? For a dynasty that worships image and discretion, the embarrassment was apparently too much. The result: divorce, exile, and a systematic erasure from the family's history. People within the industry whispered that Hyun-jung had been blacklisted. Her face, once ubiquitous in advertisements for luxury brands and department stores, began to vanish. Her contracts dried up. Her name disappeared from promotional materials. It was as if she had never existed, erased not just from the family, but from the public eye. Her time as a chaebol daughter-in-law had been scrubbed clean from every glossy surface. Eventually, Hyun-jung clawed her way back into the entertainment world. But the shadow of her past never truly let go. In a later interview, she finally spoke candidly. The real issue, she admitted, wasn't the marriage. It was her own youth and naivety. She had entered the Samsung dynasty at just 22, blinded by love and unprepared for what that world truly demanded. From the beginning, she was labeled a gold digger, an accusation she denied with frustration. Speaking about her ex-husband, she reflected warmly. He had a polished sense of humor. He was nice, really cool. He wasn't cocky about his power. He was funny. We complemented each other well. She even confessed that if it weren't for the weight of the chaebol legacy, she might have married him again. Her final reflection was both honest and heartbreaking. If I had learned more, and if we had met when I was more polished, I think I would have lived up to expectations. But I wasn't able to then. In that sentence lay the story of so many who've tried, and failed, to survive the invisible demands of Korea's elite. Whether it's Boojin's custody battle or Hyun-jung's exile, one thing is clear. Being part of Korea's most powerful family doesn't come without a price, and now, with Annie Moon carving out her own path in the limelight, all eyes are watching. Will she break the cycle, or be broken by it? What do you think? Can Annie really change the rules of the game, Or will she face the same fate as those before her? Share your thoughts in the comments. If you're finding these hidden stories behind Korea's chaebol dynasties as jaw-dropping as we are, be sure to like this video and subscribe for more behind-the-curtain drama and deep dives.